What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Another Call of Duty Infinite Warfare video coming at you, requested by a number of viewers. Today we are doing a best class setup on the Rack-9, an interesting shotgun, much different than the other ones that are provided by the game. Before we get into that though, guys, we have a 1,000 subscriber special coming up. Hopefully we hit it soon. We have been growing at such a fast rate. I gotta start planning ahead for you guys. A couple of viewers requested that we do a Q&A to some Call of Duty background footage. So if that is something you guys want to do, definitely throw up the hashtag on Twitter, Q4Bean, and throw your questions in there. If you guys get enough questions in there by 1,000 subscribers, we will do a Q&A, and I will answer some of the questions that can be found at that hashtag. So definitely troll away, do whatever you guys want to do, ask whatever you guys want to ask, and if we get enough questions, that will be the 1,000 subscriber special. Alright guys, so the Rack-9, going back to the shotgun that everybody likes to use. I mean, back in the Halo days, it was that single shot shotgun, none of this fully auto stuff or this semi-automatic. This is why this shotgun is going to require a little bit of different attachment setup than your Reaver or your fully auto energy shotgun. And we're going to take a look at the attachments in just a minute, but let's start off with the variant that you're going to want to use. So after testing the attachments and the variants, the one that I geared towards was the Godsend, the legendary variant, simply for the sharpshooter perk, because as you will see when I explain the laser sight attachment, because it's a single shot pump shotgun, you're not going to get any benefit from reducing your hipfire spread. It doesn't actually affect the spread of how wide the shotgun, the spread is on each shot. It's more for those fully auto and those very fast shooting guns to decrease the amount that each shot is spreading from the center of your aim. So that being said, you're going to want to get this sharpshooter perk for that extra damage range, especially because shotguns are such short-ranged guns. This is going to benefit you more than any of that steady perk or the laser sight, as we will get into in just a little bit. So that being said, again, we have the smoothbore variant that some of you may say, well, why aren't you using the epic variant? It just doesn't gear towards the style of play that I like for a shotgun. It doesn't gear towards that in-your-face, really fast kind of gameplay where you want to cut down the distance between you and the enemy. It's more geared for that single fire slug that it gives you, right? That's why it has that reduced idle sway, so that you're aiming down sights a lot. You're trying to get that extra range on that shotgun. I wasn't a fan of it for how I play shotguns, and that's why I gear towards the Godsend. So that is the variant that you're going to want to use, but let's take a look at the attachment. So for attachments, we're going to start off by equipping extended mags, especially with the Rack-9. When you get caught in a reload with shotguns in general, but the Rack-9 is the worst, it feels like it takes years to freaking reload these things. So to avoid that altogether, we want as much ammunition as we possibly can in the shotgun. So we're going to start off with extended mags. And as we take a look at the other attachments, we're going to see that there are very, very few attachments that we even want to use for this class setup. We're going to be firing from the hip 90% of the time. We'll get into quick draw in just a little bit and why we use that, but if we take a look at the other attachments, foregrip only provides stability when you're aiming down sights from my experience, and stock, for that matter, only while you're aiming down sights, which we won't be doing for more than a split second in any situation. And then suppressor just reduces your range, which is very, very harsh for shotguns. This is why we use rifled barrel, because any inch that you can gain on your damage range for a shotgun is going to benefit you extremely. Shotguns are an extremely short range gun, so anything that you can extend your range with, which is why we're using that sharpshooter perk on the Godsend variant, is going to benefit you leaps and bounds. Now getting into quick draw, why we use quick draw, because the Rack-9's ability, as you can see here when we go into the Rack-9 variant, it says here that it provides superior stopping power while the integrated choke increases AD ADS accuracy. So in the times that you are out of range and you need that extra edge, you know you're not going to be able to get to him, he has a submachine gun, you can slide and quickly pull up your ADS to quickly get that extra little bit of accuracy at range, and then keep moving on and try to close that gap on future enemies. But that is why we want quick draw, simply because those brief moments that you want to quickly pull the trigger, even if you're half aim down sights or you only get it up for a split second and pull the trigger, as you saw in that clip, that is all you need to do if you feel like you're just a little bit out of range for a hip fire. So that is where this gun class is very, very unique as opposed to the other shotguns. You do have the ability to get that extra little bit of accuracy at range while aiming down sights. That's the only reason we have quick draw equipped, to make those quick ADS kills viable. So that being said, that is all the attachments, but let's get into why we don't use laser sight. So in this first gameplay, I used laser sight and wanted to test the feeling. I didn't switch any other perks or attachments except for the laser sight, as you will see in the second clip, but I was getting kills, felt comfortable with it. But when I eventually switched over to not having laser sight, I found that there was zero difference. I was still getting kills with the spread of the shotgun kind of off my crosshairs, as you can see here, and by not having laser sight, it did not decrease my ability to get those hip fire kills at all. So I came to the conclusion that the laser sight for this single shot pump shotgun, it just was a wasted attachment. There might be a little bit of a benefit when you're using it with the Reaver because it's a semi-auto and you can fire it very, very fast. So maybe the laser sight might keep that shotgun spread centered on your crosshairs, but I just don't feel it's a viable attachment for the Rack-9. So also from those clips, you can see the type of playstyle that you're going to want to play. And this is when we get into the combat rig. There are a couple options of combat rigs that you can choose. I opt for the rewind propulsion, more for the propulsion than the rewind, but as you can see in that first clip, I was able to get a few kills with the rewind, get out of a sticky situation, so might be a viable solution in a lot of cases, but it's the propulsion that I use it for because the synaptic class is wow, I can't speak today, is a very, very fast class, and that's what you want with a shotgun. As fast as you can close a gap with an enemy is better than any of those slower classes. But that being said, there are a few other viable solutions. One I know for sure that I've explained in my pistols video and some other videos is phase shift. Can get you out of troubled situations with a short range gun. You can get behind enemies, flank enemies. If there's 2 or 3 of them staring down a lane, you can loop in behind them and not be out of range with your shotgun. Then there's the FTL class. You can close a gap that's way too far for a slide for that matter, but you can pair both of these up with power slide, which could be a very, very good shotgun class as well. I didn't have any clips on these simply because there's plenty of clips of me using this in this manner in many of my other videos. So if you want to go take a look at some of the other tip videos, you can see how these classes are used to close gaps like that with short range guns, like SMGs for that matter. But there's some other possibilities. Definitely another one is reactive armor. Gets you, you can charge an enemy with reactive armor and shotguns, and you can pair that with either your quick heal so you can get into more battles more often, or man at arms so that you can start with maximum ammo with your shotgun and not move slower at all. It feels like you're moving with an SMG, so that's another viable solution that would definitely benefit you in terms of shotguns, because reloads are very, very detrimental to shotguns. They definitely hurt the shotgun more than they benefit it at all. So that is another viable solution for a type of a rig that you want to use with shotguns. But that is basically it, guys. Active camo might be another one as well. There's a couple other ones, but I was just kind of going through some of the more obvious ones that'll help shotguns. Like I said, active camo here, pulsar, like I said, they can all be used, but the best ones I find are your FTL phase shift or FTL jump, or the synaptic class, because I find this fast-paced play is the way to go with these shotguns. To quickly go over the perks, it's much like any of your other short range classes like your SMGs or whatnot. You're going to want to use blind eye. You're going to be running all over the map. You don't want to get shot by wardens, sentries, any of that bullshit that people set up around the maps. You don't want to be taking routes that you don't have to take simply because you can't go outside. So you have blind eye equipped. You're moving way too fast for ghost, like I talked about in my dual pistols, my akimbo pistols video yesterday. And the options you have are obviously momentum for that extra speed, but you can swap this out for your tracker if you want to catch those guys that you may have missed going in a door. That would definitely be viable for a shotgun class. Tack resist if you want to, in hard point, or if you don't want to get stunned or whatnot in certain game modes. You can swap momentum out for either of those, and even cold-blooded for that matter. Not as crucial, but scavenger I really don't think is worth it for shotguns, especially with extended mags. You're probably going to die before you run out of ammo. So perk 3, you definitely want gung-ho. I don't see anything in here that would benefit more than gung-ho and having that hip fire while sprinting. But last but not least, you can either have dexterity because shotgun reloads are so detrimental, or I don't think ghost is viable. Like I said, you're moving far too quick. But blast shield here is the other option. Overclock too if you really want your payload, but I think blast shield or dexterity. Blast shield more for hardpoint and those game modes, but if you really want to go on a streak, definitely try out dexterity. It'll help out with those reloads, especially with the Rack-9. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. That is the best class setup I can give you for the Rack-9. You saw some of the playstyle there in those clips and how you should be playing it in tight quarters, not jumping out into lanes. But that is pretty much it. A little bit of practice, you guys will be destroying with the Rack-9 in absolutely no time. So as always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a thumbs up on the video, leave some more comments down below, and don't forget, go over, hit up that hashtag Q4Bean. Let me see any of those questions that you guys want to see for the 1,000 subscriber. If we get enough, we will be doing that in just a few days when we hit 1,000. So thank you guys so much, and as always, until the next video, stay on the bean. You do you. Live life your way, because that's the way it's meant to be. Cheers, beauties.